Yeah, OMG again, you know, how they come up against FPX will just be that good sign of life. As, you know, we're back on FPX blue side, OMG red, the Akali ban a must. As we go into pick and bans a second time, there's still a lot of hype around FPX if they can do it again cleanly. This shows that the roster is set up for success in 2021 Spring. Clement, let's see that final ban come out, then I want you to run me through the first pick.
Okay, so what they are leaving open here for Nuguri is the Camille ban. That was something that they did take away last game. And I think this is slightly better from OMG because right now OMG's draft looks pretty bad on the red side. They have triple top lane ban, essentially, from game one. And they also last pick for their top laner. So that's a lot of resources thrown in against the likes of Nuguri, but not really much value getting out of it. So I do want to see them be a little bit more proactive in the bottom side because I don't think you're going to get much up top.
And I think, you know, something like the Samira or the Jhin is that proactivity you're going to see from OMG. So locked in, a bit more laning pressure, the ability to try and challenge LWX, who, with Crisp, got that level 2 that we didn't really expect. So we'll see what gets paired up for OMG.
That was a very fun kill right there. A lot of teams do like taking away the Alistar here, actually. Because Alistar Kai'Sa has been kind of the premier bottom lane that people like to run. Lots of crowd control. You get the triple crowd control up from the Alistar and gives you all those plasma stacks, so you definitely want to take that combo away, and that's indeed what they go for.
Maybe we see Chris pop it to something like the Leona or the Thresh to pair up with LWX. I'll pause because FPX's direction is very different here. Carry jungler for Tien, a lot of options available. Just about AP or AD damage, and Tien this time, Mr. Chu, it's going to be his graves.
Oh, this is going to be fun to watch. The one question we had about Tien is he doesn't really touch carry junglers. If you look at his champion pool, he is very much a sinner. He plays a lot of Lee Sin, and he's much more about snowballing his lanes rather than just getting fed himself. So whether he can carry on to the Season 10 hype train that Canyon kind of demonstrated as the meta answer is a big question that we have for this player.
I'm sorry, you took me away when you called him a sinner, but, you know, that's all right. I agree completely. With Italy picked up, though, from Arky, a lot more agency in the jungle. Already we have a composition that wants to get rolling in this early game, Mr. Chu. So OMG starting to take away some of the control that FPX were playing with before.
This is pretty interesting because OMG are setting themselves up for a very strong poke style of composition. We mentioned Uming's best champion is actually a Zoe, FPX paying a lot of respect to that. So I think that maybe OMG is thinking about another poke champion that they have for Uming. You know, similar play styles, definitely fits with the composition in Italy, and we haven't really seen it from his champion pool, but it does look like a good time for the Jace.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, this would be the time to flex out as another control mage gone in the meantime by OMG. If you're FPX, you're banning top laners here. New played Renekton in game number 1, but New's also, you know, that Wukong player, the control top laner, hasn't been seen too much in the meta.
Yeah, I think New is pretty much relegated to Kennen, Ornn, and Renekton throughout most of his games, and, well, at least the Ornn is still open, so they could definitely go for that. I do want to mention OMG with their mid lane bans. They're essentially taking away wave clear options, and they do have the first pick here as well. So really there is no control mage that can keep the mid lane pushed out, and that does set them up very well for kind of a sieging and poking scenario.
It is an AP jungler and AP mid, though, and we'll talk about that interaction as we resolve draft for OMG's side. But now for FPX, all cards have to be put on the table, and I don't know if that's going to be literally or not, as we have Umi on the screen. Of course,
yeah,
Doombee's
I wasn't sure with the mask, though. It took a while for me to make sure.
But we've got the Twisted Fate for Doombee, so that's going to be enabling, potentially, the top laner of Nuguri.
Oh, I prefer the Camille. I just find Camille to be
I agree, Clem, but I'm like, I don't want to see the Lulu. Let's wait and see.
Oh, please. Ah, yes, we get the kill everyone Nuguri. I'll be honest, on FPX, I think he's going to be more about teamfight, but I just hope that, you know, when the games aren't that contested, he can still show flashes of the Jace and the Camille and just start to kill everyone. I still prefer that Nuguri.
And you know what? We're going to get New challenging him, which is even more exciting, right? We get the Camille versus the Jax, a very volatile matchup based on the Counter-Strike and the hookshot, wall shot. So Clement, I'll get you to walk me through this as we get into game, but first of all, round out FPX's draft for me and how the Twisted Fate interacts with these lanes.
So looking at it, FPX is definitely going for more of a 1-3-1 split push style. They're all about skirmishes. They can join with double globals on the side of Kaisa and the Twisted Fate. So they have a very dynamic setup. While OMG, to me, they look more like a 4-1 type of composition. They do have a very strong sieging and poking setup. They can't deny the Camille engage with the Alistar. But the big question is really, how is this Jax versus Camille matchup going to go? Because if New can't contain Nuggery, then Camille has very, very easy flank routes directly into their siege comp. And Camille locking people down is just way too easy for the rest of FPX to follow up.
Especially when you have, a lot of that burst damage. If Nuggery can keep them out of the fight, it feels very volatile. And as we go into this second game, just note that it almost feels like we're looking at kind of like an LGD draft from 2020, Clement, where they would play a lot of this Twisted Fate into a stronger top lane with Lungqing on the Camille, but they could always change around how they play. They could always pivot to the bottom lane depending on how the infrastructure of the lane was looking.
This definitely feels very similar to the RNG draft that we saw yesterday, where Xiaohu was on the Camille, and they had Crying constantly going into the top side and just killing his laner for him. That's also one piece that we wanted to mention, is that with the double stun between Nuggery and Doinby, it's actually very, very easy to execute tower dives here, and that's something that we should watch out for.
Okay, Clement, towards the top side for FPX. OMG, bit of a challenge here, issued by New. As in Italy, we know the snowball needs to come through. The gyos you can hear. And of course, if anyone doesn't know, okay, OMG, a little bit lackluster on the gyos. Umi does lead the gyos, Doinby's wife, so she's always there to support her man, and hopefully one day, I can have that kind of relationship. Something we should all aspire to.
That relationship for me.
Well, Clement Chu, when I'm on the stage,
cheerleader.
Hey baby, you lead me, and you cheer for me, and that's all I could ever ask for. We're into game 2. FPX really dominated in 25-minute fashion over OMG. It was quite one-sided, and Nuggery played a big part in that in the early phase and keeping control. He's now on the Camille. He's got the carry threat, and as Clement said in draft, Doinby going to be very pivotal to that, and also how TM plays around that top side.
Really like what FPX did for their level 1. They have triple stuns on their composition. They swing Nuggery down to the bot side as well. They get double deep boards, and they definitely know where Aki is on the map. So this is going to allow Nuggery to actually play very, very aggressive into his top lane because he has early info on the enemy jungler. On the flip side, New doesn't really know where anyone started, so he's going to be on the back foot for the early game, which is kind of fine because Jax typically is on the back foot here anyway.
Yep. And as we see bottom lane again, Chris just dominating Eric. Let's see what happens, because LWX, remember, it's Halo Blades Kaisa as usual. A lot of lane threat towards hitting level 2 first.
There's so much damage coming out of this composition. And once again, we have seen this from a lot of the set players. They are willing to trade early flashes. They consider that a complete win. And Hex Flash is usually on the menu for the runes.
2 is hit first in that bottom lane, but no engages. They're back in lane. Now, Clement, I did tell our audience you would explain to me the Jax versus Camille matchup, something we've seen a lot in the LPL, but is a very volatile matchup, as I mentioned.
Yeah, what we do typically see out of this matchup is that Camille is favored early. She does have the extra range on the tactical sweep. As we see here, she can trade through the minion wave quite well. And for Jax, the best situation to counter that is just to catch Camille in the middle of the wave. And post 6, he actually has essentially an extra ultimate over the likes of Camille, and that's where he kind of dominates.
Hang on, junglers are fighting each other. Bit of burst damage from Aki as you expect, but Doinby's moved. He takes a javelin toss though, and that means Woomin can go on in. With a death ray, he gets the range. Doinby flashes over the wall. Tien is going to shuffle away, but the spear, just the tip, was missing there onto Tien as he'll clear and heal up.
Yeah, very close call here, and actually Nuggery getting a great trade on the top side. Misses the hook shot though.
But he doesn't have flash, so he can't match it with flash. Ignite there with TP, so New gets away.
And we have been seeing a lot of players actually favor the Ignite, even in Demacia Cup. for the Camille. It really helps with more difficult matchups. Especially we did see this at Worlds with Bin as well, where he did kind of explain it. If the matchup is very difficult for the Camille, typically you do want to make sure you have a little bit of extra kill pressure with the likes of the Ignite.
Well, as you're confident in the lane, as that phase breaker was max range. Nicely done. Haymaker comes out, lines him down. Cold takes a turret shot here, though. And LWX just going to flash into it as he gets ignited down. That's a bit of a whoopsie, as we say in the industry. And Eric, now just between the two, he gets full shot, but he has to reload. In with the Q once again. Crisp is running after him. Deadly Flourish, fantastic. Eric has reloaded and now in charge with the Haymaker. Hits Eric's sweet spot. As Aki heals him, he flashes forward. The dancing grenade. Aki's there. Flashes himself. Wants the tip of the spear. This time he gets it. Deadly Flourish not onto Crisp, and that's the trade back for OMG.
Oh, that was a lovely play coming in from Eric, actually baiting LWX to stay in the lane a little longer than he should have, and they get the return kill there. So, all in all, OMG actually ends up winning that trade, trading the support for the AD carry.
The Eric bait, man, that was pretty sweet to see, as meanwhile Tien ignores it and goes towards the top side, but Cold's already rotated in at 5 minutes in the game.
Yeah, Ben,
no.
I do think that Tien...
Okay, that's a missmite. Unfortunate. Clement, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that looking at this top lane CS, I think it's about time that FPX start to set this up. Nuguri is trading super hard here. He's just trying to get the tower dive here and deny New all of this EXP.
Well, after saying thank you for the leash, it's now FPX's turn to get a bit of a kill. Cold's moved up as well. 3 versus 3. Crisp, the strongest support at this point of the game, though. Level 5 on both these top laners, and that's going to be denied. OMG moving up quicker, or at least in succession, means FPX stop there.
Good roam up from Cold. Knew what Tien was most likely going to do on the trade. It was pretty telegraphed by how hard Nuguri was actually trading there in the top lane. But overall, New is allowed to pick up the waves, and that situation does dissolve. However, there's still 20 CS lead in his favor, and there's going to be a lot of pressure coming there.
Yeah, that's a massive lead, with Sheen picked up 700 gold utilized well. Double Dorans with refillable potions, so has a lot more sustain in this lane, and the burst trades with Grasp of the Undying feel really nice at this point. New falling back only onto the longsword, the Doran shield as a defensive maneuver, so that's going well for FPX, while their jungle's getting out-farmed a little bit, considering the kill onto Aki earlier.
And we did mention in the RNG game, we saw a lot of Twisted Fate plus Camille combos. The Camille goes in first, and she can drop tower aggro just using her Hextech Ultimatum. You have double stuns to follow it up. Very easy to kill the top lane target. And if you look at the map right here, FPX already has all the wards down in the jungle of OMG. So if Doinby leaves lane, or if OMG drops a ward there, they're going to know about it. It's going to be very, very easy for Doinby to actually skirt around Vision and just go towards the top side.
Well said, Clementu. He's doing that right now. Moving between river, pings going down from OMG, but they're getting the dragon. So at the very least, they're still trading off. And this is what they did well in game 1. They were still finding trades, and getting that first dragon is definitely going to be one in favor.
Yep. You know, Ocean Drake leads early on, not that important, but if you have a split push win with Camille versus Jax, the Jax really falls off because the Jax can't do much in team fights either. So I do like this allocation of pressure from FPX. They're basically saying that, hey, we're going to trade these map objectives for a continuously winning lane.
Dude, it's 40 CS now, Clement. We looked away for a minute, and it's already 40 CS. He's been denied so much, and as the wave is crashing in, 30 CS is going to remain true, as FPX is still going to use that topside pressure to take red, to take the Raptors, which Cold couldn't say yoink for the second time around. And you know what's coming here, Clement. Hextech wall shot once again. The ultimatum available. Even with the counter-strike, New is stuck in here. Chris face breaks. Doinby launches up. Ignites down. An auto remaining. The smoke screen, the damage. New survives way longer than he should have. But Tien cleans him up.
Can we report them for cyberbullying? I feel so bad for Mew. He actually dodges out on the 3v1, and then there's another member waiting for him. I'm sorry, the 2v1. And then Doinby just walks in.
And it's even sadder, right? The fact that Aki goes down to the bottom lane to try and get a response in the jungle, but LWX is so productive and picks up the red buff while getting forced out of the lane. So a huge win here for FPX, who have maintained that massive CS lead in the top side, and Tien's caught up with the kill, plus the objective in the Herald.
not a lot that this Jax can do at this point. They're getting completely zoned out. And that was such a well-done trade here because LWX actually preemptively took away most of the bottom side jungle away from Aki. So even now, even with all these dives being executed, Tien is still sitting ahead in the CS department. So very well done on that side.
And further to LWX, CS is not that far behind, trying to contest here for Krugs. He's taken away a couple. Remember now that with the changes, the smaller Krugs are actually the gold pot here for this camp. So they will all be taken by OMG, but still 1.5 plates left remaining. The turret stays standing. Good of OMG to trade something, but top versus bot, Clement. This is kind of what we're going to be talking about this game.
Yeah, and we do see Nuguri just setting up a freeze around this area. It's going to be very easy for Doinby to just walk forward. You can see the blue handoff right now, and New basically has to run. He can't really stay in that position. I like what he's doing. He's trying to find some resource on the map wherever he can take it, and hopefully he will be able to get this scuttle for his troubles.
Oh man, people from solo queue thinking this is just like me, man. When I get outclassed in the top lane and you're so far behind, your team's pinging you, thinking, well, this guy's a liability, and as depressed as you get, you got to find some edge into this game. You got to get towards that mythic item for the Jax, which, you know, in the LPL, I think has been the Divine Sunderer or the Trinity Force. Either is just trying to get some CS, getting denied by Nuguri once again. The uppercut to the face hurts so much, but at least New's starting to trade back.
Yep, does pop his ultimate right here, though, so he is going to be rather easy to take down if the turret dive does happen. And we see OMG. They don't leave their top laners out to dry. Very well done on their part. They send
it's
the
not
three-man
RNG,
in.
man. It's not you from RNG, you know? Like, he's not getting isolated like the rest of his team would, but here's Rift Herald anyway. And even though they move up to help him, Nuguri and Tien share first turret blood. 410 apiece. You wait. This mythic item going to be there immediately.
Yeah, it does look like double Triforces on both sides. We have seen Camille mainly go for the Divine Sunderers. We are playing on patch 11.1, so the AD nerfs to Triforce have come in, and most of the time we do see Camille go for Divine Sunderer. But I think in this this matchup, we could potentially see the Triforce come back. I think it is more about a duelist matchup and less about the tanks. So that's definitely in the cards for that one.
Attack speed always feels nicer when you go that Ravenous second, which most of our Camille's have been doing as well, Clement. You know, the sustain, especially within that duel. I'll have to pause though, because Cold may have been called out. Doinby is teleported to the bottom lane with Destiny, and Cleanse was used by Eric while Cold has that Unbreakable Will ticking. And only a bit of damage will be placed down right in front of the timer of the Mountain Dragon.
Really well done there. They force out the Cleanse coming in from Eric, and they're overloading the entire bottom side of the map. This play is mainly because of FPX having so much pressure in the top lane. They can afford to play this way. And Ooming's in trouble.
Way to muse. Clement, Wooming, just like, what the hell? Why is this top laner in my damn lane?
This is very reminiscent to the IG game and the RNG game as well. Most of the top teams we've been seeing are playing with a lot of these dynamic combos where they can instantly make picks, and they can shift the overloaded side on the map relatively quickly. They have pressure top, instantly they shift it all towards the bottom lane, and they just force you to constantly play at your towers at all times. And it's been proven a very, very effective strategy, and probably what we're going to see a lot from the top teams here in the LPL.
I was going to say, it's got to be the top teams, right? A strategy that I think a lot of LPL teams have failed with in the past, where you have to be cognizant of your other lanes while you're making the play, right? You have to know that, okay, we don't have to trade this, but here's how we do X, Y, and Z, if that makes sense. So at the very least for FPX, they've done that. In both Game 1 and Game 2, we saw multiple lane trading from FPX in Game 1 through the bottom lane play. And even now, you can see, after they get the Dragon, they're heading up towards the next Herald. They're heading up towards the enemy jungle, looking for more blood. But Nuguri, is he going to get found out here? Hextech Wolf Shot, excuse me. He'll get out.
Yep, does take the 1v3, but doesn't really matter. And good for OMG, they do defend their own red buff. What I also wanted to mention about this meta is we've been seeing a lot of absentee parenting in the bot side. Basically, the bottom lane is considered as very, very volatile, and a lot of the LPL teams are actually handshaking each other by just leaving the AD carry there. Their supports go roam, they go skirmish somewhere else, but it's very common for teams, especially when we see a Jhin on the map, that their supports are almost never there. Like, most of the
Yeah.
skirmishing is actually happening towards the top side of the map, and then it transitions bot when the Drake appears.
Kind of interesting that, you know, in game 1, we saw AD carries moving out of lane quite early for the Herald trade, something we talked about a lot in 2020, where AD carries would move immediately to secure that objective, but in the LPL, we've kind of seen it back and forth, not too many times, but as my voice breaks like I'm a 12-year-old boy, we've got FPX trading turrets here, but Nuguri stays defensively in the top lane, receives the waves, so just a bit more gold to lead into this 4,000 gold lead at 14 minutes in the game.
Yeah, and I think things are quickly closing out for OMG, honestly. They do have some very good scaling elements on their team. However, the fact is, I do think that their comp works best when they have a sieging position, when they can use the range to their advantage. They don't have priority in any of their lanes, so they really haven't been given the opportunity to group up whatsoever. And I think the way they have to come back into the game is probably ambushing FPX as they're setting up on objectives.
Or at least hitting that side lane when Destiny's not up, right? Because we mentioned how strong this side lane can be for Nuguri, how Twisted Fate can play through it, and how FPX, you're right, you know, can set up around their lanes into objectives. So, at the very least, catching someone on rotation or without ultimate, key windows for OMG.
Yep, definitely is the case here, and I actually like what they're doing. They're pretty much giving up the top side. They're relegating New to his fate. Let's see if he can actually escape this one.
Yeah, let's find. Counter-Strike was used a little bit early, and right under the turret, Crisp is going to tank up. He dunks him down into the wave and survives. Nicely done from the support top duo.
Yep, so OMG did decide to trade towers and top and bottom side, but unfortunately, New definitely didn't have to die right there. That was a bit of a misplay.
What's doing big?
It does look like FPX are going to get a lot more tower damage than they initially bargained for. I actually kind of like that play from Dornby. What he was doing is just zoning away the Victor, so they could potentially get some tower shots, get some hits onto the top side. When you're running Triforce, you actually take towers extremely fast.
That's true, but he doesn't have Destiny to get out of this play. Cole not going to do enough damage without his AD carry, trying to line it up. First curtain call, second lands. Aki's here too. He flashes away from the Javelin Toss and the fourth shot as well. And Tien's here as the ward expires at Pixel Brush. FPX get out after a couple of ultimates were burned. Ducky gonna go in. Gold card's there. He gets exhausted. Collateral damage, and it's a Graves. Tien hits one, but Aki wins out the trade. Dulby has no mana, so all it takes is a pounce with the Ignite down. Chris looking to save the day with a double kill. Going over to OMG's jungler, but now for LWX, can he turn it 1 versus 3? OMG have found them outnumbered, and Nuguri's finally part of it. He flashes away from a Deadly Flourish that may have connected, and OMG finding picks that maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah, that was very interesting from the side of FPX. They actually continue to funnel in after the initial 2 kills, and LWX has to burn his flash for that, which I definitely felt like he could have saved that and just admitted the loss onto the top side. After Dornby walks back, he gets caught out, and this is going to be a big win for OMG. They're going to break the Drake train as well.
That's the gold lead shrinking so much. Again, the agency that FPX had in this game was massive at the 14-minute mark. And all of a sudden it shifted because Nidalee had a very early Night Harvester, and the damage that came through was massive, as you saw in that last trade. You're getting a highlight on Nuguri, but after FPX lost that battle, we're going to have to pause on hyping them up any further. Let's just see what happens with this Herald.
Pretty much has to drop it just because of the time difference. Let's see if they can escort this in. I think it looks like they can. And with this fork, they are reestablishing a lot of control onto the top side. OMG are actually trying to play for the kill onto Nuguri with this back. They're giving up Drake, but Nuguri also backs away very safely as well.
Doesn't overextend his lead. He's got a 60 CS lead still over New. I love when he went mid and he started roaming Clement. He gave up a bit of that lead, but he comes right back to the lane and he's still bodying New. As another turret's going to go down. This means Nuguri's pretty close towards his second item with that inherent gold. Good stuff still to talk about. FPX still getting these side lane turrets, and LWX and Crisp setting up for the outer in the bottom lane.
Yeah, this is just OMG still continuing to bleed out most of their objectives, coming from the fact that it's very difficult to move their pieces around the map. Their team is very much like an artillery piece, and FPX has a lot more flexibility dancing between these lanes. So right now, I still think OMG have pretty good control. I think they are going to fold back into more of a 1-3-1 formation. And if that is the case, I think what OMG try to do is basically try to overload one side of the map, find the pick, and then cut off like each head of the Hydra individually. You go to lane and basically use picks to try and force FPX to stop with this aggression.
Which, in a way, is it better to have longer lanes like this, Clement? Like, because a lot of turrets have been taken, and FPX to get the shove out in lanes, they have a bit of safety, but what do you think about elongated lanes for enhancing OMG?
Well, elongated lanes definitely favors FPX with the style they want to play, but the traditional answer to a 1-3-1 is you overload one side, you time it with an objective, you hopefully get 2 to 3 kills on one of the sides of the map, and then you get a big Baron or a crucial dragon to kind of equalize. That's kind of the answer, typical answer to how you deal with the 1-3-1 composition that is ahead. However, if the 1-3-1 composition has all 3 of their lanes on your side of the river, then that typically means you're too late to the play.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, you know, FPX are ahead in this side lane, so there needs to be like that proactivity seen from OMG. New needs to keep farming up and bring his team towards the Camille when Doomby, again, doesn't have ultimate or, you know, as you mentioned before, not in position. But Destiny is available and they're setting up for bot. FPX have to push here and Nuguri is leading the charge.
Yep, and I think this is a potential 2-man game that they want to play. They're calling Nuguri's buff right now.
But are they
But in the meantime, they don't have any
used?
control.
Clement, gold card topside. Chaos Storm lines down. That's ulti for ulti, but Doomby can now chase this up. Look at where LWX is. He's waiting for that Void Seeker to hit the mark. LWX, does he find it? Yes, he does. Killer Instinct onto Wooming. Oh, man. What a snipe.
Yeah, very well done on that play. Very simple execution. This is why, as OMG, if you're in the situation where people are trying to shoo you in the 1-3-1, you can't really afford to just stand back the entire time. The 1-3-1 will chip your tower downs. They will get guaranteed resources off the map. And what you have to do is actually trade aggressively into them. So what I wanted to see out of that play was actually them trying to force the bot lane. There was 3 members roaming towards top, and that would have been a good moment to try and get Nuguri. But Nuguri also played that very well. He backed off the instant the rest of his teammates were heading towards the top side and didn't really allow OMG any openings.
Even when you see that, you know, Doomby uses Destiny, that's the biggest fear factor if you're OMG. So, you know, that proactivity not seen means that FPX get away with a kill, another pick, extend the gold lead to 5,000 at 21 minutes. It's still very much in their favor. And although we saw a great play from Aki in this topside blue FPX jungle, nothing has happened since. FPX have continued the pace that they like, and now we've got a Ravenous Hydra on this side lane threat. Now we have a Zhonya's Hourglass for Doomby to play time until those TPs, until those engages are used by FPX to follow up.
Definitely seems like we're going to see some sweet messiahs coming down. We talked about the TF Camille game the entire time. That's going to be exacerbated now that Zhonya has been completed. And I just wonder how OMG are actually going to hold on to these inner towers. They're all crowding towards the bottom side of their map, but how they split their members to defend these two are actually incredibly difficult, and I don't think they have much say in the next break as it comes up anyway. So, you know, I'm still waiting for OMG to hopefully pull the trigger when they're sure that not all of the members on FPX are on one side of the map.
Yeah, it is hard, right? The vision game being played well on top. So FPX right now heading towards the Infernal Soul. This will lead them to Soul Point, as Atlas so nicely coined it. 30 seconds until that time, and OMG, after clearing mid-wave, are trying to head top. Clement, this is a proactive play we talked about, as teleport's being channeled here by Mini Messiah and Doomby.
Oh, is Nuguri going to get away from this one? This is a 5v1 situation.
That's the Javelin toss here. A level difference here as Aki gets burned down. Cold runs him into the wall. It's a double knock up here. Nuguri getting hit hard. And the shutdown to Aki, who can't really miss a spear this game. FPX's response is to hit mid, but they won't get this turret. There's not enough damage, and unless they kill New. I'm going to take that back. Asterix doesn't know what he's talking about. Mid will go down, but look, Baron is being started at the cost of Dragon.
This is what we were talking about. You find a pick, and then you swing it towards a major objective. That's how you stop the 1-3-1 when they're all across your river. It's a huge gambit that they have to make, but it's one of the only gambits that they have left in their cards. So let's see if OMG can get away with this one. They're actually trying to turn. I don't think this is the right call.
Clement, the whirlwind, a bit of a cyclone up in this top side. They ult onto him. They want to take this top laner down. LWX flashes for the kill and takes down New, who's been getting cyber-bullied, as you so rightly coined it. Now in a choke, Chris wants that perfect haymaker. He won't be able to stop the show either as he goes down. Collateral damage lines up the prayers as Nuguri finally comes back in after dying before. Against the wall, it's end of the line. It's LWX, a golden cat. The Jaguar pounces, but no findings. Wooming on the run against LWX, and the heel burnt almost dies to the Q. FPX win it again.
It all just seems like it's a little too late. I felt like OMG should have hard committed to the Baron right there. Splitting and turning and slowing their own Baron take probably wasn't the right call. You're rushing in the fact that the enemy team is already taking the Infernal Drake. And unfortunately, I don't think that delay favored them. Even when they turned, they were still caught on their own, on the wrong side of the map, and they couldn't do much about it.
It was nice though, Clement. I mean, you use Counter-Strike and LWX is like, now I can go in.
Yeah, very easy cleanup for LWX. Nothing much to come out of Mew. He can't jump forward. The whole team is behind the likes of LWX. And even Nuguri comes back to get a piece of the action right here. So, a bit of a questionable turn. I feel like the only one that should have stood outside of the Baron pit was probably Cold's Alistar. And the rest of the team had to kind of go for the 50-50 Baron.
Yeah, at the point, you know, you grasping at straws and OMG, you know, made the wrong call, but it was still a valiant effort. I don't want to be too down on OMG because I think they have been outclassed by FPX's decision-making in a roster that still needs to come together. Aki has made some good calls. There have been picks and attempts to stop this side lane Camille. But FPX, as you said, they're too far ahead. 7,000 gold at 25 minutes in the game. This series could be done in under an hour, Mr. Chu. It's quite breathtaking to behold.
Yes, and it's a great start for FPX, actually, because we definitely were missing this team. It feels so bad. Oh, wait a minute.
Eric at half, and Voidseeker connects. Is LWX going to show us what he's got? Waiting for that killer instinct to fly through, but he's already used it, actually. But now for Crisp, he lines up and Colt just dies. Collateral damage almost kills Eric. And Crisp survives on. Turret goes down to the bottom lane. So many fires to put out for OMG.
Oh, I love that play from Cold. He actually used Unbreakable at the exact right moment, so it doesn't get taken away by the showstopper, but it's not enough. They still can't get the return kill right here. FPX walk away with another objective.
Well, Clement, you know, it's been great casting with you, but, you know, this series is probably almost done. Let's be quite realistic, and while OMG will soldier on a bit, lad, what was he waiting for? Maybe the timer, maybe for New. He wants to get an uppercut. New's at half. Help! Help me! The Ignite goes down. He's waiting to counter-strike, but hook shot, wall shot. Oh, he's not going to do it. Nuguri's not greedy. He'll stay at 1-1 and 4.
Oh, Camille, when she's at this stage, she just scales so incredibly well. You get 100% true damage on the Precision Protocol, and that also applies to your on-hit damage coming from the Triforce. So she's definitely doing deeps at this point. I like what OMG are doing. They're trying to split the map again and trying to find picks just to slow the pace of FPX down.
I don't know if nobody knows that Arky's here. At the very least, a turret on about a wink of health. That's how you measure things in League of Legends. But look at mid. Mid's getting siege, bottom's getting siege. New gets uppercutted again, dude. And with this Ravenous Hydra Camille, he can just sustain back up.
Yeah, Ravenous Hydra, 20% of that Omni Vamp. But wait a minute.
You'll be cutting around. LWX is in. It's a bait. And OMG have walked in willingly. A double kill to LWX. He picks up even more than that 1,501th kill first. Wow, English not my first language apparently. But FPX, let's look at the game. The Baron, side lane control, and we knew this one was over, but they're just putting the finishing touches on it.
Beautiful series overall by FPX. I really think this is a trailblazer to how this meta should be played. Everyone's been asking since LPL is the first region to start, what is the meta actually going to look like in Season 11? And this is pretty much the pinnacle of what we've seen in the LPL so far. It's a lot about priority. It's a lot about making picks. And we actually haven't seen a lot of the front-to-back team compositions really work out. There's a lot of tools in this meta like the Galio, like the TF, that people have been utilizing. Camille's a great pick option. It's one of the most banned champions coming out from the top side as well. And it does seem like a continuation of the Demacia Cup, where the best compositions were more about the pick potential rather than the standard team fight.
true. You know, how you can play around that pick potential as well. Force the enemy on bad terms with Camille, Twisted Fate. FPX have been playing like this for the whole game as Cole. Not going to be burning the Unbreakable Will for the gold card, but Baron buff backing in front. Bit of a bait with the red card burning them down because they just picked up Infernal Soul. And FPX now sending out the cards once again. Right down the middle. Yeah, Eric finds it. Excuse me. OMG. Fall strong, but Nuguri comes in, sweeps him down. And OMG getting low at half health. Is this Camille? He gets destroyed as well. And FPX are actually losing the fight. Eric forward he goes. The fast with Gale Force, but LWX plays it back, you cheeky devil, you. Onto Wooming, they don't need to go forward. They've already styled just that little bit extra.
Oh, that supercharge and heal, getting an extra auto attack in there. Absolutely massive. Well played by LWX. I honestly didn't think he had it in them right there, but that was an amazing one.
Let's be honest, OMG technically won the fight. So, it was good, but FPX kind of controlled a bit. We'll see what happens here, because Tien versus Aki, I still think Nidalee's got enough damage. Colt comes in for the flash, though. Burned down with the Infernal Soul. He goes golden as Chris saves the day. LWX again. ADCs in 2021. I'm not sure if the meme is right anymore, because LWX is saving everyone's ass.
We have to look at that last fight. So the early start of this one was definitely Doinby being a little bit over-aggressive. Cold has another great Unbreakable Will, avoids all the damage, and New actually comes in, gets the double stun. So very well opening salvo here, and this is where I felt like Nuguri probably went a little bit too far forward. The Chaos Storm is still there, the Gravity Field is still there. He basically dies on the spot, but LWX is here to actually save the play. Killer Instinct, Gale Force used, also has a supercharge, I believe, there to avoid that one extra auto attack. Heal used as well, very well done. And all of a sudden, FPX are still putting the finishing touches on this game.
Yeah, even after what we saw, Clement, it's still happening, right? And Gale Force used once again. The Kai'Sa synergizes with it so well. As Doinby takes a chunk, Eric is still quite large, but is he in charge? Cold going forward. He's going to get showstoppered into the back line. The Haymaker lines down as well. Tien's getting low. Doinby low. Eric walks into him, cleanses and gets the last shot. Eric, I like the functionality, as meanwhile LWX is doing the same thing. 80 carries putting on a show from both teams, but it's only LWX left standing. The minion waves channeling in. And in 55 minutes and about 40 seconds, FPX 2-0 enter with Nuguri into the LPL and show us this team might have some pretty